just some quick insights about us as a organization. We deliver these webinars, we deliver coaching and training, and 80% of our team are neurodivergent. That changes a little bit. We focus on that strengths-based approach, and we're also a social enterprise. So that means a lot of our work we do, we feed it back into the community. April normally co-hosts, and she's been volunteering with exceptional individuals since 2019. She creates our great content, recording, editing, creating those blog posts, and also those social media posts as well. So that's just a few of the things. I'm going to also hand the reins over to my other co-host today. She's going to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Yasodha, and I have been working in this space for 15 years. And I really started with families and young adults, and now I work with adults. And yeah, my motto is I'm still learning every day.
Such a succinct and really like nice intro, but we're going to hear more from Yasodha today. So do not worry, it's not just going to be about me, and also it's going to be a lot about you. So make sure you have your pen and pad ready to really work with us today on this session. Okay. So here's my disclaimer. I'm neurodivergent myself, dyslexic, dyspraxic, co-occurring ADHD and autism as well. And that basically just means that I tend to speak fast, have got a really fast brain thanks to that. I do tend to be quite pragmatic in my approach sometimes, but I can also talk about random things too. But that means that I have these amazing, fantastic ideas. And if you haven't noticed, I also celebrate myself because that's part of my own personal journey too, as being in this space. I'm going to be talking about this as a whole, not from an expertise point of view, but from a person that wants to help in this space and is still learning herself and has got a 21-year-old son who shows traits, who is autistic, but also has traits of co-occurring as well. So I've learned a lot over the lifetime of me being alive here so far, double the age of my son. If you could do the maths, you'll be good to know my age. Okay, so the reason why I shared April's and Yasodha's kind of profile and what they do is because I want this to be a judgment-free zone. I want us to be all open to the ideas and experiences of others and to validate each other as well, because sometimes we've been in a society where we've been invalidated, told that we can't feel this way, we shouldn't feel this way. And that's been hurtful. And so acknowledging these perspectives and knowing that your perspective is really important to this conversation is going to help us to make this a very rich session. Now I've shared kind of what I need from you all. It'd be great to know how you feel seen, heard, and valued in this space. Let me know what helps you to have a really great learning experience. It could be like me slowing down, pausing, could be anything. Let me know. Asking questions, acceptance. If slow down so slightly so we could oh, thank you, I appreciate you. Yes, I will pause. They call it a pregnant pause, just like that. So I will do my best to accommodate you and to see you so that you feel heard and valued as well in this space that we are all in. Okay, fantastic. So this is what's coming up on this session. We're going to identify the challenges of creating and maintaining friendships within the community. We're going to discover tools so you can start to sort of navigate the complexities of forming different friendships with more ease. And then we're going to bring it all together. Yasodha's going to do some really great work with you all to bring it all together so it just makes sense for you all. And then I've got another part 3, which is actually part 4. I'm just going to give you a quick survey just to say these are the next steps you can take with EI and how we can support you. Okay, so tell me everything you currently know about autism and friendship as a woman. Like your experience, your lived experience, even if you've just read about it as well, anything and everything. I'm going to give you space and time to do this. So this is what you know about autism and friendship as a woman. You're friends with other women with a form of autism, because like attracts like and love attracts love, and so that might be one of the reasons for that. But other women don't like me and I find it hard to fit in. That's your truth. I see you and I appreciate you for sharing that. Info dumping is how most of us prefer to connect. often experience it as annoying or condescending. Yeah, so there's that as well, right? There's some people are not so accepting, and we're going to speak about that as well. Childhood friends seem to have become very distant, a challenge to reconnect with them. Attending on behalf of my daughter is 11, lots of friends, very sociable, but can sometimes miss social cues and get herself into friendship muddles. I see you, I hear you, I honor all of you and where you're at and what you're here for, and hopefully we can find some solutions for you. Learn how to grow and maintain friendships as an adult. Same. I have autism and struggle with navigating all of the unwritten rules of engagement. Friendship works best to be one-to-one, not good in groups, as I'm on the outside. Thank you so much, everyone, that you've been able to be honest and share that. Struggle with female forms of connection, friends of things like gossip, makeup, etc. Same. I find it much more easy to navigate my friendships with guys. There is just a different vibe. And some of you might be like, no, I love my girls. And that's good as well. Again, we're validating each other and saying what's here is okay. This is where we're at. This is what we're doing. Okay. So thank you all for sharing that. Now, we've got like 50 minutes together. Less than that, I do talk a lot, but I also want to acknowledge where you're at. What do you need out of this session in order for it to be valuable for you? So the most important thing for you to learn about autism, friendship, focus on women, what would be helpful for you? I know you said already before some of the challenges, so maybe solutions to those. And anything that we don't cover in this session, our great content team, April and everyone else in the EI team will be able to kind of see, okay, what will be helpful in terms of content for you all, and create some great content for you based on this as well. How to make and maintain friendships, how to establish relationships, how to maintain relationships, how to support a child, navigate the teenage years based on the lived experiences of the group. Fantastic. Collective experience is the best because it just helps you learn and grow quicker. How to deal with conflict and putting boundaries in place within family relationships. We're going to talk about boundaries, so I love this one. Thank you. Thankfully, all of the ones you've mentioned so far, we're going to be covering. How to know when one needs alone time, a pause from friends. Great. Again, we're going to slightly cover it. How to avoid getting things wrong or how to accept when I do. We are going to do a session on ADHD and minimizing miscommunication. That might be helpful as well. It might not be. Who knows? But either way, I've put it out there. So great, fantastic. How to maintain relationships and not insult people when I can only tolerate short periods of time with other people. Yeah, I feel that. I have a capacity for some people, it's limited. My sister has ADHD and I find maintaining a good relationship with her such a roller coaster. Yeah, it's maintaining those relationships with everyone that's with a neurodiverse community and people can be challenging itself as well. So I honor you and I see you. And yeah, I could talk all day about this topic. This topic's such an interesting one. Okay, so thank you for that. Just so that we are rolling. The reason why we're doing this work, right? We know social connection is a powerful predictor of long-term physical and mental health. And so those meaningful friendships, can I emphasize, not just friendships that might not be fulfilling for you, actually help us with our overall health, our immune system, our stress responses, our sleep, all of it, because of our friendships. Having meaningful friendships. You can have one meaningful friendship and that will do all of this. And we're going to talk about that a bit later, so do stay tuned. Okay, so let's get into the content about identifying those challenges. Okay, so sometimes we are misdiagnosed or diagnosed late, and that can have a really big impact in who we believe we are, our identity, and it really can impact us. And so if we're not sure about who we are, is always questioning our identity, that can mean that when we're connecting with other people, we're finding ourselves disconnected. And so we're masking sometimes, we're being great actors and actresses, being able to just be like, I can see that person over there, I'm going to adapt because I see them getting what they need. When we mask so much, we can then lose our identity and who we are. And so that can be a challenge for connection, right, when it comes to those friendships. And so I've put as much citations behind everything I'm doing today so that you know that this is not just coming from those ideas, but actually some actual research. Okay, So this is a person who has autism. She's tattoo artist and TV personality. And this is how she interprets her autistic journey. I find that being a female, I'm expected to behave a certain way to fit in socially, which is why I spent so much time masking. I think because of this societal pressure, females often develop the ability to mask. Let's just think that in. Let's just feel seen by this statement just for a second before we move on. It's normal, completely normal, because of the way society has set us up. Okay. So with that in mind, I did a little bit more research. I got this. There's a really nice app called Pellicano, which lets you subscribe to all the books, but not every book. But one of them is Life on the Autism Spectrum. And it talks about the way dress and just one element of life, right? Being able to feel comfortable, comfort over sometimes is something that I choose most times out of 10. I want to feel comfortable in my clothes. The clothes that are itchy and everything else, tags and everything else, aren't as helpful, right? And so that could then make me look perceived different from other people. So it's one element of how friends can perceive you or not perceive you based on what you wear. People judge you on that as well. Let's talk about masking. Just name one way you've masked before to fit in. We've all done it. It's really easy to do.
Makeup's the first one that's coming to mind.
Makeup's definitely one that I've tried before. So yeah, definitely wearing that makeup helps you to have that confidence boost, but also camouflage parts of self, right? Okay, so far, we've got laughed along with jokes when not totally understood the humor. Wearing a bra, though, I can't breathe in one. So yeah, putting things on that don't necessarily serve us, right? Acted out going when I'm really not. And how tiring is that when you just want to go home afterwards and sleep? Trying to remember celebrity gossip on news, even though I was not into it. Yeah, just to have that social topic, right? To like relate to people. Not speaking when I really want or need to, as interrupting is a huge temptation. Yeah, some people find that really challenging. I completely understand that one as well. Like being silent, trying not to say things because you want to be polite, but then not remembering what you need to say, and then the moment passing. Smiling when not feeling like it, animating my voice, making eye contact when I can't stand it. All of these things, right, are a form of masking. And it's tiring, right? And so being able to identify when you are masking will help you understand, actually, this is what I'm doing, this is what I can stop doing. Used to read Wikipedia episodes overview of popular shows so I can fit in. Yeah, I used to do that as well. Shows that I didn't get. Still haven't watched Games of Thrones. No interest, not going to do it. But obviously some people love it, and it would be an easy way to get an in and speak to people about it. Going to places or social events when I don't want to. Pretending to be interested in things. Going to social events. Yes, yes, and yes, all of this. You are seen. I see you. So yeah, learning appropriate emotional responses like, oh, and oh, yeah, like, oh, isn't that baby cute? And having to say, yeah, what a beautiful baby. And you're like thinking, this is why I don't say anything when people show me their babies. One of the reasons why. April said another book that I can recommend to females with autism is SB Girls by Rudy Simone. Thank you, April. So yeah, for other reading, do look at those resources. That sounds like a really great resource. Mimicking facial expressions, being involved in co-worker small talk. Yes, yes, and yes, and yes. Had no interest in knowing about people's stuff. And yeah, here we are. Okay, fantastic. Another challenge, right, that comes up. Office politics, which you've all kind of talked about already. And again, this comes from some research. Having to deal with people that gossip and having to kind of be like, yes, this is amazing, even though it's technically not. So that office gossip, that is a challenge. And so I tend to opt out of circles when others do certain things. So maybe you do as well. What comes up for you? Which one is probably the biggest thing that makes you stop connecting with others in social circles? And that could be at work as well, right? Okay, we got gossip or spreading rumors with others seems to be a huge one. But all of them are quite annoying, right? Intentionally withholding important information as well. Yep. Okay. Okay. So we've established what we don't like, right? And sometimes this is it's an interesting insight by Dr. Liz Pellicano about having those few close, intense friendships. And perhaps you can relate to that as well because of the capacity element, not being able to maintain many. Immature behavior as well is definitely a challenge, and people not following the rules. Yes, Rachel, I completely agree with that one. What is that about? The rules are there. They're not supposed to be like broken when they're supposed to be set. Okay. Also, I wanted to mention this as well. For Black women with autism to get programs and services that address our needs, researchers first need to acknowledge that we exist. There is a challenge as well around, I guess, not seeing every single intersectionality of autism, right? And I think that's a challenge within the challenge, and that can cause people to feel very much invalidated in their own experience again, not acknowledged for who they are, parts of who they are. So, okay, challenge number 3, maintaining friendships can be hard. Oh, another thing that's quite interesting though is this by Dr. Kate Fox, again, another person who identifies with autism. This being the differences and sometimes society, how society treats us more than anything. Obviously, it shows up differently, but I believe that there's a societal problem on how we should show up as well, which can impact us. Again, just somebody else's perspective about their lived experience, being able to see them and acknowledge them and see that everyone's lived experience is different, but also that we're also normalizing this conversation. So another kind of person, and I got as many women as I could for this. Discrimination is everywhere, and being an autistic woman of color only doubles how much I'm prone to. But knowing that there are others like me and others advocating for equality and neurodiversity makes me feel a lot less alone. It also allows me to surround myself with people who love me for me, regardless. Isn't that powerful, just to be like around people that love you for you regardless? You're not having to mask, right? And so that's an important thing that we can almost start to stop apologizing for being ourselves. So what are some challenges of creating and maintaining friendships that come up for you? Let me know. I've shared some that the other parts of the community have talked about, but maybe some of those aren't coming up for you. Maybe there's other ones that we haven't even touched upon. What challenges of creating and maintaining friendships come up for you? I find it hard to break down exactly what is hard because it's all just merges and becomes that I'm so tired having to make a very conscious effort just to stand up. That is really relatable, and I get that. Developed ME 12 years ago. Masking my whole life has been too stressful and draining. So sorry to hear that. And again, that masking element, right? There's steps to unmasking, but the fact that we're doing it, we're having to do it to feel safe, right? To feel safe to be us. Difficult to have rest and recovery days while also maintaining a full-time job. I often feel like I have to choose between work or having friends. So relatable. Thank you for sharing that, Milena and Rachel and Chantel and everyone else in the chat that's done this, shared and been vulnerable. Thank you. When I lose interest in a person and no longer keep in touch with them, that's so easy to do. I find that one of the bugbears as well. Richard thinking if somebody doesn't agree with my daughter, she could end up closing that friendship or feeling it's no longer valid. Keeping up with messages and knowing what to say, knowing the do's and don'ts of social norms, expectations. Yeah, those hidden rules, right? And sometimes being rigid in our ways of being and learning how to be a bit more flexible sometimes, knowing that my opinion is not like that for everyone. It's not going to be agreed with by everyone, but that's okay. There's other things that I can contribute. Having people accept that I need alone time, expectations from others, pressure to do things I don't enjoy, needing time alone while socializing, expect to be like them, many people in social interactions, oversharing, talking too much or not enough. Yes, that balance, right? And knowing that you can be all of those things. I could talk too much, I could talk not enough, and that's okay. Hold myself to such a high standard and find it hard when people don't do the same in terms of ethics. Yes. I have a core base of friendships and it's been really hard to keep up, just to call or text. I tend to disappear for weeks sometimes. Also make a lot of new friendships and then never follow up. Yeah, that's kind of like me. I'm feeling called out here. Oversharing with strangers. Yes, yes, and yes. All of this I can relate to and more. So thank you. Just going to look at a couple more. Not feeling seen, maybe because masking, maybe because I do not perform emotions anymore. So thank you so much for sharing this. And we are going to find ways to look at how we can navigate with these as well. So thank you so much. This is going to be helpful and is helpful for those in the community as well to be able to see that they are seen in this space. Okay. Yeah, so good to see, right, Lula? So good, because you can relate, right, to be able to see this. Okay, so I started and I didn't finish. Partly of my traits. Not all challenges of forming friendships are obvious, and our environment impacts us greatly as well when it comes to the way we are shown up, as well as how people accept us. I started, but I didn't finish it. Okay, now we're going to look at some tools. Yes, we're going to look at those complexities that we've already spoken about, and we're going to look at some tools. So make sure you have your pen and paper or pencil ready, and you're ready to do this piece of the puzzle. Number one tool is acceptance, and you're like thinking, yeah, duh, acceptance. You're really thinking, Ruth-Ellen, tell me the obvious thing. Tell me something so obvious, right? Acceptance is the challenge here, right? But if we can accept ourselves. So in terms of your own acceptance, what do you wish people knew about how awesome you were? And I know this sentence might not make grammatical sense for you, and that's okay too. What do you wish people knew about you? What do you accept about yourself, right? What is it that you wish people knew more so about you that you're okay with, right? Kindness and compassion, honest and caring. I'm weird. Yes, I'm creative. Group scenarios can be overwhelming. That's okay. They're actually quite kind, caring, compassionate, loyal, honest. Blind loyalty is like, yes, loyal to a fault. Yes, I'm different. I wish people would understand that I only engage with sincerity, which means not a lot compared to maybe neurotypical, sincere, awesome problem solver, smarter than I look. I'm sure you're as smart as you look. Hopefully that's in a good way. Struggle with this because I feel so boring. I feel like there's nothing interesting about me. Hey, that's okay that you struggle. That's okay. Being okay with that, accepting that part of you as well. But I again, it's like accepting, write that list of all the great things about you. Even if you might think it's not interesting about yourself, it's kind of just about that, recognizing your strengths, recognizing what you're great at. That I don't mean to hurt or disrespect anyone. I feel that one. Unable to lie. Yes. Kind, caring, thoughtful, honest and not judging. Yes, and all of this. There's times when I feel like I don't need to share what I need to share because everybody knows everything and I don't have enough insights. So there's times when I haven't shared anything. And so I can completely relate to that. I can completely sometimes not share anything about what I do and what I know because I'm like, well, nobody cares because everyone knows it all and I've got nothing to add. There's times when I actually believe that, and there's times when I'm in better circles, better places where that story for me doesn't exist. And so it's like that. Thank you everyone for sharing that. Again, this is anonymous, so I just kind of shared, maybe overshared. Okay, so tool number 2 is values. And sometimes it's very hard to recognize what our values are. So I've got a humongous list of values. On your right, just look more on your right, what those values are: empathy, connection, love, honor, all of those things. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to look at the list, pick maybe 3, 4, or 5. They might not be on that list because there's so many. And then what you're going to be doing is you're going to let me know on the next page. So what are some of your needs, universal needs or values? What are some values that you have identified that are important for you? Authenticity, trust, caring, bonding, companionship, trust, family, affection, trust is a big one. Enthusiasm, freedom, fairness, equity, honesty, integrity, kindness, fairness, equity, honesty. Honesty is also a big one. Acceptance, understanding, kindness, acceptance, empathy, gentleness, fairness, and You're all doing amazing at sharing this choice, autonomy, learning, compassion, assuming good intentions. Yes, I like that one because that's sometimes things people don't necessarily celebrate, right? Everyone's coming from that place of good intentions. Freedom. Okay, fantastic. I want to make sure that Yasodha's getting her pieces in as well. But tool number 3 is that clarity. Clarity of what you are more than worthy of. And again, this is from a autistic perspective of some research. Those are able to find positive meaning or benefits associated with autism are likely to have more positive global self-perception, as in how you see yourself, if you can find that positive meaning or benefits. So with that in mind, what are you worthy of? What type of friendships, characteristics here, there's probably some more as well. Again, it's not an exhaustive list. Do you want to see in your friendships? Do you want to see cultivated? Pick 1, 2, or 3. So what characteristics do you look for in a friendship? Loyalty, trust, forgiving, acceptance, generosity. So all of the things like accepting, being that good listener, honest, authentic, fun, kind, understanding, really powerful characteristics, right? Characteristics that you probably are yourself, like some of these already mentioned. Fantastic. Okay. Boundaries. Again, this is not an exhaustive list. And we're going to get into the tool that is going to bring this all together. So please bear with us so that we can do this. So boundaries are really important. They help us to stay safe. And safety is really part of our own healing journey as well. So which one do you resonate with? Boundaries are really hard. Yeah, no, completely. Yeah, knowing your boundaries and then actually executing them and being able to say, this is my boundary. If you cross them, this is the consequence. That's a challenge as well. But acknowledging that is okay. It's a journey. You start it and you learn more about yourself while you're there. The ability to change your mind. That one's powerful for me because I'm like, sometimes if I feel like I've said something, I have to honor it, but I get to change my mind. I get to say, actually, no, change my mind. Don't want to anymore. Don't feel like it. It's not for me. It's a learning process. It's a journey. And I think the more we can create those boundaries, the more we can say, we can look at ourselves a bit more in that self-worth way. We're like, ability to be worthy of great things because I've got strong boundaries in place. And remember, there is coaching available in terms of our EI process that might help these boundaries, that will help you with your sort of career journey as well if you need that. Okay, so I know you've all struggled with this. Again, this is anonymous, so even if you're not there yet, maybe where you want to be in 6 months' time, 12 months' time. Being able to handle negativity, respecting privacy, respecting space, having that alone time, right to your own time, energy. Yeah, so these are great pieces to begin with, great boundary setters. Acceptance as well as a boundary, right? Accept who I am and how I show up and how that manifests. Staying true to yourself. Okay, no noisy environments as well. Yeah, that's a boundary. That's something you need to show up as your best self. Okay, I'm gonna whiz through and the last one, which is about scheduling those check-ins. When it comes to cultivating and maintaining those friendships, creating that a backup list for when plans may change, because sometimes with our rigid, sometimes we may be rigid in our thought process. And so it's really great to have a backup list. If something changes, I've got a list, which is a backup, which helps me to still navigate. Putting birthdays in calendars is a good one. People that really care about birthdays, I personally don't. I don't find them helpful. Why are you celebrating something that everyone has to do? But that's my perception, and that's how I see birthdays. I've never celebrated birthdays. Celebrate my kids' birthdays, just don't find it useful activity for myself. So that's why I find it challenging to help to do that for others. Schedule check-ins with yourself and have those recovery tools as well. And there's other webinars we have done that talk a little bit about some of those recovery tools. I know there's one about assertiveness that might help as well. Okay, so when plans are cancelled, having time alone can be recharging to the energy, as if you want to reframe things. Have a folder of unexpected changes in your schedule as well, and that might be helpful. So where are you in your journey when you look at this? Where are you? Kind of done the tools, we've looked at the challenges. Where are you in your journey? What do you need to work on right now? What's in the lead? Creating boundaries, knowing values, accepting self, and then improving resiliency. So improving maybe the way that we react and respond. So we've got acceptance of self is your top priorities right now, the majority of you. Then it's creating boundaries, then it's knowing your values, and then it's improving resiliency. It's great. Fantastic. We know what content to create to help to support you as well, from you doing that and helping us with that too. So just the tools: acceptance, values, clarity, boundaries, and a routine. And we know this is a journey. We know that it's not going to happen overnight. But if you can just take one of these things, start implementing something, whether that is that reflection time, it's going to be powerful. It's going to help you create those friendships that you are worthy of. Great friendships, people that you can be honest with, you can cultivate trust with. So when I do edit my slides, I'm going to put in some of the finishing words, so it all makes sense. Okay, bringing it all together, and this is where I'm going to hand it over to Yasodha. So over to you, Yasodha.
Okay, we can start with the next slide. Yeah, so just a visual about kind of giving you a space to and control to define what friendships mean to you. So this is just talking about, like, for example, your best friend. That could be one or two, so that's very small up at the top of your pyramid. Then you would have close friends, and obviously the different levels of friendship. This diagram is just to show you that people can move down the pyramid, but people can also move up the pyramid, and that's completely okay. Next slide, please. And this is, again, a tool to kind of help you to define what close friend means to you, what you can do, what you're comfortable doing, and kind of breaking it down into the different levels. I'm going to give you a few minutes to sort of read through that. There's quite a lot to read. Obviously, level 6 is being close, and going down to level 1, which is just acquaintances, people you might meet occasionally at the train station, at the supermarket, neighbors, stuff like that. So just kind of giving you the different levels and giving you a tool to help you define what you are comfortable with and what you are going to do. So if you can just tell me in your friendships, let's just start with close friends, or right at the top of the pyramid, level 6. What are you comfortable doing, or what do you think that you can do? If you don't mind sharing, please. Or what are things that you have been doing that you're comfortable with? Being honest, being able to talk about being autistic, comfortable with hugging, okay? Doing activities together coming up quite a lot. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. Being my honest self. I like that one, being able to disagree, just being myself. Thank you, everyone. Nice. Yeah. And this is very important. And what do you dislike? Because what you dislike also means where that person or that relationship is going to be on the pyramid. If you dislike it very much, it's going to be right at the bottom. But if you dislike it a little bit, then it can move up to the top of your pyramid, for example. So Okay. Yep, values don't match, feeling judged, boundaries are coming up, all of the things we covered earlier. Expectations, unrealistic expectations. Not being able to be yourselves, yeah. Small talk, yeah. Okay. Thank you. So now we're going to move on to creating your own friendship pyramid. All the stuff that you talked about, now we're going to I'm going to just share an example with you. So basically, when in your example, you're going to talk about what you can do, what you're comfortable doing. We talked about what you dislike as well. And we also discussed boundaries before we came into this exercise. So make sure you are doing all of that when you make your own pyramid. This is just an example. So in level 6, you might say that I will call and text them once a week. I might arrange meet up in the weekends. I'll remember birthdays because they're my best friend. And if something happens to me, I get a new job or somebody was mean to me, that's the person I'm going to call, for example. And next one will be close friends. You might call and text them once a week again, but you might not arrange to meet up all the time. You might still feel comfortable and want to remember their birthdays and buy them presents maybe. And in this case, you probably have common interests. You want to do things together. You feel safe doing stuff together. And this is just a blank one. If you want to take a screenshot on your phone, please go ahead and do that, because that's something you can think about, just kind of how you want to maybe draw up something similar and kind of think about whether you want 6 levels. You may think that you only want 3 levels because 6 is too much. You might just want to simplify it. And that's completely up to you. But it's just kind of giving you sort of a framework, or even sort of like a checklist to say that, okay, if they are my close friends, these are the kind of things that I want to do, I would like to continue doing. Yeah. And also think about what you don't like doing, and decide where people should sit. So this is the pyramid of dislike, just talking about where people can sit in your pyramid of dislike, which is really the upside down pyramid, if you think about it. So if you really don't like something and you don't even want to acknowledge that person should be at the bottom of your pyramid. And then it gets less and less. Your dislike reduces as you go down the pyramid.
So thank you, Yasodha, for that. One of the questions, what if you barely have any relationships?
So to answer that question is, I think you can probably need to decide whether they are on your dislike pyramid or in your like pyramid, and figure out whether that's what you can and comfortable doing. That's what the pyramids are for, and kind of figuring out where that person is and whether you even want to sort of invest time and action to build that relationship. Yes, people can be on both pyramids, definitely.
Yeah. It's not necessarily about the amount of people, right? It's just about the quality of people. I've got 2 friends, 2 really close friends. One's a guy, one's a girl, and I've known my female friend since I was 16, and I've known my male friend since I was maybe the late 30s. So very different friendships, but completely accepting of both, and they accept me. And I'm sure it's not necessarily about the amount of friends you have. It's really about the quality of them, just being able to be. I have people who switch quickly from big shout into quite close. What you can do next with EI, just literally choose which one. There's some other things that we provide as well, but there's the mentoring, there's coaching, there's following us on YouTube for the previous session, and there's other. So if it is other, put it in the comments. Maybe there's a workshop you want that you've not seen yet, and we haven't provided that. Put it in the comments. And that might be helpful just for us to create content that you love. Jenny, that sounds like it's a boundary challenge, right? Being able to put your foot down and say, hey, this is some of the challenges. Okay, so we've got mentoring and mentoring schemes. I think I'm running at the moment, so I think the second cohort will be after that. Job coaching is available. Subscribing and following is great. No one wants to do other. It's because it's ambiguous. So like, what is other? Okay. Thank you all for that. So We've identified some of the challenges of creating and maintaining friendships within the community. We talked about boundaries and other challenges. We looked at some tools that can help you to navigate that, right? Creating those tools, using that friendship pyramid as well, by bringing it all together and creating it in maybe this really neat framework that you could just kind of look at this one page and say, actually, this is not in alignment with some of my values I discussed before. And that might be really helpful for you. And we've also looked at how EI can help you continuing on the journey as well. Let me know what was your biggest takeaway from this session. I love a peer workshop. I would love to do a peer workshop. That would be amazing, like group peer, learning from each other, because I know community is so powerful. Learning what boundaries to maintain in friendship session itself is very validating. Thank you. Oh, love that. See, you know how to push my buttons to get me feeling validated. So thank you. Definitely need a lot of work on boundaries and how to do them from the beginning. That might be a good thing to like explore, right? In some content that we could create. Explaining what friendship is and helping me realize I need to identify my boundaries. The pyramids, fantastic, amazing. Different levels of friendships was amazing. Great. Felt seen and less alone. Amazing. Hearing some other experiences which are so similar to mine. Yes, 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 and yes. That's what we need more of, right? We need to normalize the conversation. Is it possible to have close friendships with neurotypicals? Yes, one of my best friends is a neurotypical. So yes, yes, and yes, and yes. And yes, other people have said that as well. There's acceptance everywhere, in places that when people accept themselves, they're accepting you because they've done that work on themselves. They're not projecting. They're not giving you stuff that they haven't dealt with themselves. So that's helpful as well. It's good because then I've got a rationale for my boss and say, hey, they need me for an hour and a half. I can't help it. They need me. And so thank you. I've got it in writing. So yes, an hour and a half would be great. I could do that. Sometimes really helpful. Love ideas of a workshop. Yeah, it would be great to have a peer collective online to just speak. Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone. If there's anything else, feel free to reach out to us in the community. We are on social media. Go on LinkedIn. Let other people know about these great workshops that Nat does as well. And we will see you next time when you are available. I've got a ADHD one soon, but there are other great ones that Nat has coming up as well. So make sure you join that as well. And thank you all for attending. I appreciate you spending your time here.